I'm Bethany Anderson of Bethany Heals, and if life's been lifing lately, then you found me just in time. This is a pause, a permission slip to just be. And before we begin, let me remind you, your healing isn't on a timeline. Around here, we don't hustle our healing, we honor it. Trust that your intuition brought you here for a reason. So let's drop into our next archive episode.
Hello, loves, and welcome to our next special guest episode here on Life.ing. This guest that we have on the show today, I'm so excited. It is Helen Phelan. She's the founder of Women's Health Fit Tech award-winning digital Pilates platform, Helen Phelan Studio. So Helen is a dancer turned Pilates instructor who's been teaching in New York City for 12 years on both the mat and the apparatus. She's also a certified Institute of Integrative Nutritional Health coach. She holds certifications in functional anatomy for movement injuries, prenatal and postpartum corrective exercise, intuitive eating, Reiki, and TRX suspension training. She's been featured in the New York Times, InStyle, Huffington Post, Couture, and more. But what really differentiates Helen's teaching style is that she balances athleticism and body neutrality. So you don't have to compromise getting a really effective and cathartic sweat, and you don't have to beat yourself up to do it. Helen, I am so excited to have you on the pod and to pick your brain.
Yay, excited to be here.
Yes. So for those of you that want a little background into how I found Helen, this was years ago, but a friend of mine, Nicole, who's also a Pilates teacher and former dancer, so funny. She reached out to me. Yeah. She was like, listen, we got to go on this retreat. It's in the Catskills. And I was like, done. I don't even know who it is, what's happening, what I need to do or show up. I'm already there. And just connecting with Helen was so special. And I just love the work that you do. And when I got that download to reach out to you a couple weeks ago to have you on the pod, I was like, no, this just is perfect timing. So I'm so excited to have you on.
Well, thank you for having me. Retreat life is always a very special container to connect with people really quickly and deeply. So exciting that it led us to this.
Honestly. And I still, so random, have dreams about that roasted chicken that they made. Do you remember that?
They do know how to cook there.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't eat the chicken, but because I don't eat meat, but I trust you. Everything else was delicious.
Oh my gosh. Everything they made, that was amazing. It was such a great retreat. And I love how spacious it was too. It wasn't jam packed with like 500 things to do. It was just like the perfect balance of movement and rest.
I have found like the first retreat I led, anxiously facilitating everything, wanted there to be something accounted for every minute of the day to make people feel like they were getting their money's worth. But that's not the point of a retreat. The point of a retreat is to feel like you've had a restorative weekend or a week, whatever it is. So I have learned over the years to allow for free time and make things, optional so people can decide what they have the bandwidth for.
Yes. What's been your favorite location that you've done a retreat at?
I was going to say last year, but now it's 2 years ago, 2024. We went to Morocco, which was incredible. Just
that looks
visually
so
stunning.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was just, it's like I've never actually said the expression a feast for the eyes before, but that's what it is. Just, I know it's like, sound like my mother. But truly you're just like in awe at everything. The tile work, the colors, everything's gorgeous.
Oh, I love that so much. It's on my bucket list of places to go. So if you ever do a retreat there again, put me on the list.
Well, working on some fun ideas for this year. Can't say exactly where yet. It's not Morocco, but it's somewhere very cool. So stay tuned.
Yes. So I really wanted to have you on the pod because I feel like for me personally, my connection with my body has always been so challenging. I've always felt very disconnected from my body. And it wasn't until recently, over the past few years, that I've learned that the way that I process my emotions is through movement, is through my body. It's not like the typical routes that you would go or avenues that you would take. And so it's been something that's been really top of mind for me lately, especially just because of all the changes that I've gone through in the past year with just my big move and the ending of a relationship and so much. I've really leaned into just having that mind-body connection again. And I love to ask this question because I'm always just so curious of how you even came into this world of everything that you do, because you just shine in it so naturally. I'm obsessed. Um,
Thank you.
yes. So like, when did you first know that like this was the work that you were meant to bring into the world? Like what was, do you feel like was that defining moment or turning point for you where you're like, this is what I'm here to bring. This is what I want to share.
Um, it's kind of a blurry series of moments because I started taking Pilates as a kid with cross training for dance, and Pilates was always part of my life, but no part of me thought that was going to be, you know, the career. I was focused on becoming a professional dancer. And then in college, we had to do a lot of somatic theory training. And then I TA'd those classes as a senior. And I got really interested more in what somatic exercise versus just fitness training. And I got injured dancing. And then I had no choice but to get really into Pilates. And it changed my life. But not even then. It was like probably about a year or two into teaching full time, going through my own process of trying to accept my body more and be kinder to my body. Like this early 20s, figuring out second puberty situation.
To be young. Oh my gosh. Our early 20s. What a tornado.
Yes, would not want to do that again. However, I do vividly remember going to some class and hearing an instructor say something along the lines of earn that dinner or whatever, you know, one of those typical sayings. And it was so, you don't hear it that often anymore, thank God. But at the time in the early, I feel like it's coming back, unfortunately, but I think for the most part, people leave that alone. I remember just being like, that's so distracting. And obviously my situation might have been that I was more sensitive to it than the rest of the people. I know, you know, some people that doesn't affect them at all, and great.
Yeah.
But it started to make me really uncomfortable being a teacher and feeling like I was somehow an accomplice in making people feel worse about their bodies. It's like this double-edged sword, because obviously movement helps people feel great, but oftentimes there's this like other layer of punishment and kind of beating yourself up around it. So that was the beginning, I would say, of it becoming a more like three-dimensional thing. And then once I started talking that way and creating on Instagram, I feel like that was a good resonant ping from the universe that it was something I was meant to be saying and doing.
Wow, I love that so much. When you talk about somatic theory and like the difference between fitness and somatic practices, I'm so curious of how you see the two and how they differentiate from each other.
I think, you know, Pilates, yoga, mindful movement, more somatic approaches to exercise is really like about embodiment. And that's not to say that you can't be an embodied runner or weightlifter. You can absolutely take these principles with you into whatever it is that lights you up. What I tell my clients to do all the time. But I do feel like you probably feel a difference when you go to like a big box brand franchise studio and they just hit you with the workout. There's no warm up. There's no cool down. There's no talking about the breath. You know, I don't want to be like weird cheerleader that either. That's not my personal style. Again, lid for every pot, not for this pot. So it's not like it's this like inspirational, like intense monologue, but more just getting people to drop into their body, to become more body aware, which I really took for granted, especially as a new teacher, having danced since I was 3. It does give you a superpower in that way to understand your own body, but also with your mirror neurons to experience what other people are physically experiencing. I think that's really, I'm getting on a tangent here. I think that is why the dancer to Pilates instructor pipeline or yoga instructor pipeline is so strong. Not because we're flexible, because that's not the point, but because we understand the body and we're able to just kind of like psychically know how it feels to someone. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah. When you describe it in that way, like the first word that comes to me is intention. Like it's more intentional. There's a lot more presence that's asked
That's
of
a good
you,
way of saying it.
you know, with having that awareness with the connection to your body. And why do you feel like so many of us, I'll speak for myself too, but feel so disconnected, and why can it be so challenging for us to have that awareness? Because, I used to teach yoga for a few years, and I taught yin yoga as well. And even when you're cueing and you can notice, you can say something very specific and detailed, and sometimes it still doesn't connect with people. And where do you think that comes from, or why that happens? And what do you feel like has been, sorry, this is like a multi-layered question. I'm picking the brain, but like, where do you find that aha moment when you're teaching, when you're like, they got it, like, they're picking it up, they're feeling it, they're seeing it for themselves now. Like, how do you see that playing out? That was a lot of thoughts.
To say about I have a lot to say about all of that.
If you've been feeling lost or overwhelmed or weighed down by your day-to-day life, then my one-to-one sessions are made for you. I love being able to connect with you within this private experience, whether it's my 1-hour session in the mirror or my 30-minute drop in the threshold. This is our opportunity to find out what's getting in the way of the movement that you're seeking or craving in your life, and really tuning into your inner truths so you can show up within your life knowing what is best and meant for you, and we can work through shifting the energies that are getting in the way of your most aligned path. You can book your session and get more details in the show notes below.
Okay, so I think it's a few things. One, it's a skill that if you are not taught it, it's not necessarily, it seems like it should be intuitive, but it's not necessarily intuitive, especially because our culture encourages us to overpower our feelings, our bodily sensations, so that we can, exist within capitalism and continue producing at a rate that has nothing to do with, what is actually best for us. So there's a way to get deeper into that for sure. That's a whole podcast in and of itself. And then the other is that it's scary to be in your body. If not scary, like capital S scary, just uncomfortable. Yeah. A lot of people, even a lot of like professional dancers, professional movers, they can do a bunch of tricks, but they're not comfortable actually listening to their body, or they've spent years overpowering pain. So their sensors are kind of all warped. And I think it takes so long, which is not a sexy thing to say to incentivize someone to get started, because I know everyone wants like a 30-day program, but it does take a really long time to be able to listen to your body. And I know it's such a vague, annoying way of putting it. I felt it was very annoying until it started to make sense to me as well. So it's also one of those, like, you just got to give yourself time things. And then in terms of what's my process around getting someone into their body?
Yeah, like what's that moment where you're just like, they got it. They feel it. They see the connection. Like how does that show up within the work that you do? I guess your method for getting people to that space.
Honestly, it changes person to person. If I have a professional dancer client, it's a very different thing. It's more about getting them to slow down, ease up, listen. If I have someone who's never moved before in their life, it's maybe saying 800 different metaphors until it starts to make sense. And luckily I like to talk, so that works. And then if it's, maybe an older client, maybe it's more hands-on support, so they feel comfortable doing a movement. It really just depends on the person. I do rely on cueing very heavily. And this is another one of those things where movement is just so subjective. Yeah. You might love a teacher that I don't really click with. It doesn't make them a bad teacher. Just the way they teach resonates with you. And the way that I teach is I talk a lot because I'm trying to get you to feel what we're working.
I love it so much. Give me all the cues.
Thank you.
Create the story.
It's the way my brain works too. And it's also scientific that like the more you're visualizing and thinking about the muscle that you're working, the more effective your recruitment is. So you're physically doing more. That being said, there's, different intentions behind every movement practice. So maybe the intention is to just get into flow state and to not, get the maximum bicep contraction that you could possibly get. We love to do both, it doesn't necessarily have to be either or.
I do love the cueing though. I'm a fan of it. I'm just like, that's what calls me to a teacher. Like 1,000% is all of the words. Give me all, but then again, I have a lot of Gemini placements. So that's probably why The Gemini in my birth chart is Geminiing. I actually was thinking about even just what you're saying right now with how you cue and how it just varies from person to person. And I remember we were talking about the connection between like movement and creativity, right? And that through line that comes up. And I mean, I just love watching your stories with your dancing. It's so like I'm in it. I'm in the studio with you. I'm like, like trying to do the moves. And I love it because it's the perfect just physical representation of movement and creativity. And I would love to hear your perspective on that and how it shows up for you.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons movement is so important for creativity, even outside of like an intentional art making practice, is just that it gets you in a context switch. So say you're a writer, you've been staring at the page for, whatever, an hour, then you go on a run, all of a sudden the idea appears to you because you've gotten into that flow state of running, but also just allowed something to be shaken loose in your brain without like forcing it. So it allows, I think, to get a little, mystical. I think it allows muse to visit you. And then I just think that you have to play around with things to figure out if it works. And what better way to play than literally playing? Like that, we don't get to do that as adults unless you are a fitness instructor. But I think the average person does not really have like allotted time to really feel what's happening with their interoception, like sensing their heartbeat, sensing their breath rate, and listening to what that sounds like. And also not even trying to change it, but just not completely disassociating from their body. And I know there's just something special about being able to do that allows you to make more. It's like do less to do more.
It's like taking a hot shower and all those ideas drop in and you're just like, where's my pen? I need a pad right now.
Yeah. Or like you wake up in the middle of the night and you need to write a bunch of things down.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Same
like
state.
You got to get out
state.
of your context.
Right. Exactly. What do you feel like has really gotten you back into dance? And so I feel like it's so prevalent and so important to you always. Obviously, it's been your whole life, but I feel like it's definitely shown up even more. How has that been showing up for you? And why do you think it's become so important for you again?
So I started dancing when I was 3, and I just very much lucked out that my mom had the instinct to put me in a dance class, and then I became obsessed with it. But during that time in my early 20s, when I was, working out some body image stuff, I really felt that continuing to pursue dance would hinder me. And that's not to say that that's the case for everyone. For me personally, I knew that to heal some of that eating and exercise stuff, I needed to step away from dance, and it was pretty heartbreaking. And then as time passed, I kind of felt like, oh, I can't consider myself an artist. I can't consider myself a dancer anymore because I'm just a Pilates instructor. I'm like just a jock type thing. And then like a lightning bolt, grief made me do it again. I got divorced in June of 2024, or separated in June of 2024. And it was a pretty bad situation. And I needed to do something to cope. And I obviously already had all these mindfulness practices, but I needed to sort of jolt myself into something new and also remember myself and
who the hell you are.
Yes, like thank you. Feel like wild again. And I was just talking about this with a friend yesterday. She was like, I see you as a force. And I was like, I don't always see myself as a force, but when I'm dancing, I feel like a force. And it's sort of like a fake it till you make it. The more you practice feeling like that, the more likely you're going to be able to feel like that. And luckily my best friend owns a dance studio, and she was like, get in here. You don't have a choice.
You're like, thank you, universe. Yeah. Wow. I love when we find those outlets that just bring us back to ourselves. It's so important to have that in our lives, like especially when we're moving through grief and such huge life changes like this. It's like, what are the things that I can connect to that are going to remind me of who the hell I am?
Yeah. And whether that is, training for a marathon or, something non-physical at all, I think just jolting newness into your life is the way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, for real, for real. I 1000% agree. So you started your business 12 years ago, right?
Well, I wouldn't say I started my business 12 years ago. I started
Okay.
teaching 12 years ago.
Okay.
And then I started teaching privately, like for myself in 2018. Wasn't really calling it a business. My reformer was in my living room in my apartment, and bless the clients that have been with me since then. But then COVID happened in 2020, and we all had to go online. And actually, I had started recording a bunch of videos in November of 2019 with the intention of starting like a YouTube channel or on-demand studio of some kind. And then I totally chickened out and doubted myself and was like, oh, it's so oversaturated. Who am I to think that it's worthwhile? Like, why should I even try? I
Yeah.
deleted all of them. I had like a
No.
library. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about self-sabotage. So then March 25th, 2020, I was like, well, I guess now I'm filming on my iPhone in the dark in my living room, but we're doing it. And I don't know that I like to think how I feel about myself now. Hell yeah, I would go for it. But back then, I don't know without the push from the universe to put myself out there if I would have been able
Yeah.
to. So everything happens for a
gosh.
reason.
Wow, it only took you a pandemic to move through that. No big deal.
Yeah. Like,
It couldn't be anything
pandemic,
less.
divorce. Like, I really need big things
You need
happening
big-
to me.
It takes a lot.
I'm not inviting anything else large to come into my life right now, but
Lesson learned. We'll pay attention when the first download comes and we'll just do it.
yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. My guides are like,
Wow.
oh, you are being very thick-headed right now.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't even judge. I'm the same way. I also will get like intuitive nudges and I'm like, or I could not do it and just stay for the plot and see what happens. And then I'm like, okay, fine. I think I'm done with the big lessons as well. I think we're good. I'm here for a little bit of a just coasting moment at this point.
Hopefully. Or like enjoyable lessons. I'd like to get an enjoyable lesson.
Yes, I love that. Calling that in for us, absolutely. Wow. So, okay, we're in a new phase. We're calling in ease. We're calling in a flow. No more resistance. How do you feel like you show up now with just like being seen when you're like, how do you talk yourself through those moments? Because I personally find that as a big challenge with just being more vulnerable in general and showing up and showing what I'm proud to bring out there. And I would love to hear your mindset or your mind frame or perspective on moving through being seen with the work that you do.
Well, the first thing that occurs to me is I think we've talked about holisticism before. My friend Michelle, she always says something that I think about. I think about it maybe every day. She always says that when you first start doing something, there's going to be a gap between your taste and your ability. And like there's something in you that has an instinct about what the world needs, and you want to do it in a really great way. Like you want to make video content, but you don't know how to edit videos. You don't know how to speak to the camera. So there's going to be this really uncomfortable period of your taste and your ability not aligning. And that's when people want to quit because it's hard to do something that you're bad at. It's really not fun. And also, I think I felt a little anonymous. I had a small following with my existing clients when COVID happened. But I think it felt for some reason like no one was watching except for my friends. So I could kind of just try to do some embarrassing videos on the internet. But it's very hard.
It is.
You have to be resilient, and being brave or resilient is not feeling uncomfortable. It's just gritting your teeth and doing it anyway. Especially when you're a super body aware, sensitive, empathic person. Because it's like, oh, I feel every ounce of that. And it is not a fun feeling.
Yeah. It's the chest is tightening. The throat is bobbing,
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's why for me, the pandemic was such a big part of that because it removed choice from it. It was like a survival thing. I needed to make money. But also the idea that there's only one you, which is so trite. But I like to think that I have pretty creative Pilates exercises. But at the end of the day, a plank is a plank, no matter what sort of footwork you're doing in it. People take my classes because they like the way that I speak to them. They like energy of it. They like the way it feels, and
Yeah.
they like me. And that's why I take classes with instructors that I feel passionate about. You could give the same exact programming to someone else and maybe you would be into it. Maybe you would be like, this was just not the right vibe, which is also why I'm very much not a purist in terms of, is Pilates the only, I personally think it's the best modality. Excuse me.
You're like,
me.
am I biased? Maybe. Do I care?
But I also recognize that it's not for everybody, and that sometimes you need different things at different times of your life. So I would love for everyone to do Pilates, but it might not be the thing that lights you up. And the best modality is the one that you want to do, because that's the one that you will do. So if you're trying to, I don't know why I just thought of shot put as the first thing.
Okay.
But if you're making yourself do shot put every day, I imagine not a lot of people are, and you despise it, like, go do something else, and it'll be much easier to get that motivation to go do it. Wow, getting on a tangent.
Yeah.
The ADHD is on fire today.
No, it's so true though, because I was actually just talking to someone last night about Legree, right? And I was like, I've taken a class or two. It ain't it for me. And they're like, no, you just need to take a minimum of 10 to 15 classes and then you'll totally get into it. And I was like, we're going to stop right there. Like, that's a no for me. I actually love Pilates. I love mat Pilates. It's the only like workout that actually gets me motivated enough to do it, especially when I don't want to do it. It's the only thing that I'm like, it's game time. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm like trying to think about what the calling to it is. Maybe it's using your body as the apparatus. That's really cool. I really like
and
that.
I think for me, and also why it probably contributed to the gap that I took from dancing. It gives me a lot of what dancing gives me, down to like the group class experiences, like performing, public speaking.
Yeah.
I love the rigor of it. I love the intensity of it. I love the learning a new skill of it. And polishing that skill, like, that's so satisfying to me, and why I created my on-demand studio, because as I was working through all this body image stuff, it kind of seemed like the general advice was like joyful movement, which is one of the final principle in intuitive eating, which is important. And there's a reason it's at the end of the book, because you have to heal some of the other stuff before you should start thinking about the density of nutrients in a food or your exercise routine. So joyful movement is important. It should be something that lights you up. But it also, at the end of the day, if you want to get stronger, you have to do hard stuff. And hard stuff, as we've already said, doesn't always feel good. You can love Pilates. I bet you don't love holding teasers specifically. Like, it's not.
No. No, I do not.
I don't blame you. And also, if you come from, maybe you grew up playing sports, or you're just sort of like a type A person like me, I crave catharsis. I crave a sweat and working hard. So I wanted, I wanted it to be a place where we're not taking it too seriously. It's just Pilates. We're just working out. I think it can change your life, but it is just Pilates. I think a lot of people take themselves very seriously on the internet. And I also wanted it to be a place where people feel good about their bodies as they are now, before they get to some future potential hypothetical aspirational version of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I love that. So what's lighting you up right now in your world? I want to hear where do you feel like you're at 2026? What's bringing you the most joy? And that's a double-sided question, not just within your work, but within your life. Like, I want to hear what's lighting you up right now.
Funnily enough, we talked about this a little the other day. I'm actually really into social media right now, which if you asked me a few months ago, I'd be like, I hate it. I'm forced to be on it. And I just kind of flipped a switch at some point, and I'm thinking about it more as like a creative project, and trying to detach from how many views or shares or engagement with it, and just make stuff that I want to make, that feels good to make, which goes back to finding teachers that you resonate with, or being the type of teacher that you want to be. Do what you want to hear. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. And I feel like, having had this past year or so, a year and a half-ish of coming back to dance, And I also did the artist way last year, which I'm evangelical about.
Oh my gosh. How long did it take
Yeah.
you to go through all of it?
Several months, but
Yeah, because
but it takes a long
it's a
time.
thick bit. It's a thick
Yeah.
bit, you know?
Yeah. And, I took breaks. I didn't do it 12 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've just, been leaning into this identity of seeing myself as a creative, not only in just like, making a class is choreography, but also making content is a creative practice, and running a business is a creative practice. And then,
It's so much.
it's, you're wearing a lot of hats. And just sort of shedding that shame around feeling like people see me as just a jock,
Yeah.
which is so funny because I was like such a ballerina girl. I'm like definitely not a jock, but you know what I mean by that.
Yeah,
Feeling like
yeah.
I don't have like intellectual street cred. And now I'm like, I read more than most people. So I feel pretty confident in that.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I feel like I'm in that pivot that you've just moved out of, or like that kind of redirect with your appreciation for just like creating content on social media. I've been in such a struggle with social media because I feel like I want to get so deep, and it's really hard for me to figure out how to metabolize that into like a carousel post or onto
it's
like
impossible
a 2-minute reel.
It is,
You know, it's
frustrating, but I think we could go on forever about social media, but what's hard about it is it's hard to communicate nuance in a small piece of content. But wellness is all nuance. So it is really challenging, but just picking the tiniest little nugget at a time and diving into that.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but
It's just, I think I'm still figuring it out because I feel like my work is so trust based, and really, 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 really deep work where I'm trying to navigate what that looks like. And that's honestly like I took a step back from social media recently. That's why I started this podcast, was because I was like, I want to go in depth with people. I want to take my time being able to express myself and to share the ideas and thoughts. And this has just been such a beautiful outlet for me. And now I'm kind of thinking, okay, this feels like a really comfortable space for me. I wonder if I'll ever be able to find that headspace with short form social media, because it gives me the ick, if I'm being honest. I'm so resistant to it.
Rightfully so. I think zoomed out from that, more so than it's not social media specifically that's lighting me up. It's feeling like I'm pouring my creative energy into myself.
Yeah.
Which
perspective.
I was in a really long-term relationship for a long time, and it threw my center off,
Yeah.
And which is not to say, again, that you can't center yourself while you're in a relationship, but I personally did not. And it's taken a long time to learn how to do that again. And it has felt like so many things are clicking. More people are joining the studio. More people are finding my Instagram. I'm getting these little external validation things that kind of are superficial, but feel like signs that I'm doing what I need to do. Yeah. And it's just a process of trying to pour into myself. I don't know how a really more eloquent way to say it. Just as a people pleaser, a lifetime people pleaser, that is not my instinct. The de-learning of that, or choosing to not do those habits, even though it's what I want to do. So, and then the universe has been giving me little nudges that that's the right thing.
Just do you, boo-boo. Do you, BB, and what feels good for you. And I love that you're getting those confirmations, those little love notes from the universe as you progress through that journey. I know we were also talking about redirection energy and like the pivots that happen and how you're navigating that, and how has that been showing up for you within your work and in your life? How do you move through those pivot moments? Because they are intense.
Yeah.
They're a lot.
I think
so much of us.
They really do. And I think in general, women are often socialized to feel like their life is not complete without a man or a partner. And You read that Vogue article this summer about like it's
Yeah.
embarrassing to have a boyfriend now, and it's like, yes, it is. It's so embarrassing. But what's embarrassing about it, at least for me, is that I just abandoned myself in relationship, and we're kind of taught to do that. So it is trying to take that energy that I would be spending, and I am dating, I am going out. It's not like I'm not doing a year of celibacy. That's not for me. But but taking the energy that I would be pouring into obsessing about a text or
Yeah.
thinking about, whatever relationship drama du jour, and thinking about, oh, like, what am I going to write about on my Substack? What can I do to take care of myself today, even if it's just non-work related? And I always think of it as like those reflexive or habitual things still come in to your head, no matter how
Yeah.
evolved you are. But now I have like a much more like hard stop detour that I'm working on. That's the visual I have. Like a thought comes into my head, and then I'm like, I don't let it come down. I pivot
Yeah.
the
You're
other
like,
direction.
cancel.
Yeah.
Ooh, what
So
are some of the things that you're doing just to make yourself feel good in your day-to-day life?
I have a sauna blanket that I really love. And the
It's
best
on
part
my
about it is
list.
that I got a Black Friday 2 years ago, and my cat loves it. She doesn't get in it, obviously, but she sits on top of it because it's
Yeah.
warm, and it's the only time she'll ever sit on my lap. So I'm always like bribing her with the
Come to
sauna
me.
blanket. It's warm. I promise. I have also been working on trying to work less. When you get it,
Okay.
when you're self-employed, the day
It never
you can lose track
ends.
of the time. And for me, I kind of think I do still see private clients in addition to all my computer brain stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, I think about my job as Pilates instructor is when I'm working with the clients. And then when I get on the computer, I'm like, this doesn't work, even though it is. Most people probably would
And
see
then
that
it's
the
11
opposite
o'clock
way.
at
But
night and you're like, oh, snap. Okay, I should probably go to bed.
yeah, I've been like editing a video forever. And I'm trying to release the idea that I have to be the most
Yeah.
productive person to ever exist. And I saw a clip today, and I can't remember who it was, but I saw a clip today talking about running a business, saying that it's such a myth that you should follow someone else's steps for success,
Yeah.
because we all have different outputs and input capabilities. And it takes a while to figure out what yours is. But when you work against it, then you get to that burnout mode, and you're really, really not creative.
Yeah. It's so true. Oh my gosh. I've definitely been learning about moving through burnout and how to avoid it moving forward, because it's so easy to fall into that masculine energy of like, go, 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 do, action, action, action. And it's like, okay, no, that is not me. I cannot function this way at all. So yeah, it really is a process. I actually wanted to touch back on what you were saying about being in relationship with another and how, we can kind of lose our centering about ourselves. I recently posted in my IG stories about a realization that I had about my straight hair. I
Oh, I
haven't
saw that.
Yeah, I haven't straightened my hair in over a year, and I had the realization a few days ago. I never did it because my ex didn't like it. He didn't like how I felt more confident and I was more out there and more shining and all these things, and I stopped doing it over a year ago plus. And first of all, I got so angry. I was like, ew,
Been
gross.
there.
But, it's just so interesting when you pull yourself out of the situation that you're in and you're looking back, and these are such small things that you don't even notice that you're giving away of yourself to
Mm-hmm.
accommodate another. And it may seem so minute, and it can be as simple as it being straight hair to someone that might be reading it from the outside. But for me, it was like, this was something that I was hiding a part of my personality and what made me feel good about myself. And I think I think that's a lesson that I'm definitely learning moving forward with the relationships that I have, is how do we catch these moments where they can be something so small, but actually are like a core part of ourselves, What's been your experience with that?
I mean, it's so hard to tell when you're in the middle of it too.
I
So, because I've
know.
also gotten really mad at myself reflecting on a few things. Um, but I don't know. A big focus for me this year is very much building an unshakable confidence is the way that I want
Yeah.
to describe it. I'm a pretty confident person. I'm a performer. I do public speaking all the time. I talk to the camera all the time. But there is something about, I guess, better boundaries is the better way of putting it. Like non-negotiable things instead of trying to make myself fit in a relationship or, maybe a professional contract or job is really doesn't feel right. And I don't feel like I need to force myself to do it just to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I have a great strategy for doing that. I'm just throwing shit at the wall myself.
Yeah. Same. I'm like, we'll just see what happens. We're going to wing this for a little bit.
And then when I mess it up, I say, it's good for the memoir. So,
that's where I'm at.
It builds character.
That's where I'm at. There are a few decisions where I'm like, we're just going to do it for the plot and see what happens. And, add it to the book later. So,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So, I did ask you what was lighting you up within your work, but I also want to hear in your personal life, what's lighting you up right now?
What is lighting me up in my personal life? Honestly, I really love work right now, which is
stop it. No.
You're right. Well, actually, I'm doing a dance intensive. It starts tonight, actually. And I haven't gotten to work with a piece of choreography many days in a row in years and years. I take class all the time, but you learn a new phrase every week, every different class. And this is 5 days of 3-hour classes where we're just really getting into a piece. And then there's a little studio showing at the end. So that'll be my first time performing in a really long time. And, a big step towards me reclaiming that artist identity. And so I'm very, very excited about that. And I'm trying, this is not necessarily new, but I live in New York and I lived upstate for a little bit over COVID. And since I moved back to the city, I make a real effort to see at least 2 shows a month, like ballet or theater or something, just to make sure I'm getting my rent's worth of culture.
Right? Seriously. Oh, that's so good. I love that so much. I think for me, I love that we're both kind of leaning into this just creative energy because it does spill out into our work and our work spills back into our private lives. But having that creative energy and using our bodies and our minds as the through line to be able to create, I think is so cool. I love your classes. They kick my ass. I'm always I'm like, okay, this was great. And also I'm dead. This was amazing. And I'm just so excited for just what's coming next for you and for your work. I did have a question for you about wellness in general and what it means to you. Right. And so I'm curious if you could sum up your philosophy and wellness in one phrase, what do you think it would be?
That wellness should improve your life, not be your whole life. And that keeps me from getting into...
First of all, I feel like you just punched me in the tit for a second. Can you elaborate, please? No, I love it. I love it so much.
Punching myself, too.
Okay.
That... I went from this unhealthy relationship with food and exercise to then being I'm going to be really good at being healthy. And that's just another version of the same thing in a different font, the control thing. So whenever I catch myself getting a little too intense about something or trying something ridiculous, if it's causing you stress, it's no longer good for your health. If you're feeling guilt about missing a workout, that's not good for you. If you're feeling bad about something that you ate and you're trying to eat more nutrient dense things, that's great. But we don't want to let it get to the point where it's then starting to affect our mental health, which happens a lot more commonly than I think people are willing to admit, because we all want to be the best versions of ourselves. I think particularly women are expected to be doing personal development all the time. And it's interesting, it's validating, it's fulfilling, but it's also at a certain point we have to be okay with where we are at the moment. Yeah. I'm taking this so many different places, but just that it's not that serious, that it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to make us feel better. If it's not making you feel better, adjust your approach.
Yeah, stop. And also, I'm going to second that. Let's get some more men in the personal development arena, please. Can y'all catch up?
I saw a TikTok today, or my friend sent me, that was like, what's the equivalent of like blush blindness for men? And it was like the the blindness for men is that their actions have consequences for other people.
Oh my gosh. If only the awareness. Oh, the awareness would be so appreciated.
Someday.
Oh my gosh. So wait, what do you have coming up for your work and what you're bringing out into the world? What are some special things that you've got going on? So I can definitely let our guests know, and I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yay. Well, I do the Helen Phelan Studio on demand library is always ever growing. There's new content every week. And I do put out monthly programming. We're coming up on Valentine's Day in the next month or so. And I always like to put together a mini challenge to reframe movement as a way of taking care of yourself, and not to be so cheesy, but self-love. And I don't want to give so much away because I'm still working through some things, but
Yeah.
it's going to be linked very much to cultivating your sense of creativity and feeling more comfortable identifying as an artist, or as a baby step towards that. And then I usually do retreats at least once or twice a year. I'm still in a planning mode, so I don't have anything to announce, but definitely stay tuned. Yeah, and then I write my Substack every week as well. So if you want to hear me ramble more, it's a good spot.
I love your Substack too. It's great.
Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoy it. So, oh my God. Well, I'm so grateful that you came on the pod to just talk about movement and the body and life and pivots and just tapping into this whole creative side of ourselves. And I'm so excited for all of your offerings that you have coming up, especially that Valentine's Day one. I'm intrigued. I can't wait to get more details on that. So thank you again for just taking some time to connect with us today.
Yeah. Well, I think I got distracted by my own ADHD brain. It will be a challenge. It will be a 2-week challenge of classes. And then
Okay.
also, yeah. So it'll
Got
be a
you.
class every day for 2 weeks. I was like,
Oh, okay.
I
You're
can't
trying
tell
to
you
kill
anything
me.
about it. Yeah. Well, yes. But mini classes, not like going balls to the walls every day.
Yeah.
Like within reason.
Yes. Yay. So exciting. Well, thanks so much for joining us on the pod, everyone. The show notes will have all of Helen's details if you want to work with her directly or through her online studio, retreats, all of the good things. I can't wait to see so much more of your dancing, and this intensive that you're doing is going to be amazing. So please post about it because I am watching.
I appreciate it. I'm glad someone is. Thank you.
All right, y'all. We will catch you on the next episode here on Life Be Lifing.
Bye.